Today to talk to you about taking a break and changing your life. I'm actually here on time. I'm so proud of myself. Usually I have technical difficulties and I start a few minutes late, but I'm here on time, which means nobody else is here because y'all always expect me to be a little tiny bit late. But hey, for everyone who's going to join me in a minute and everyone who's watching this on replay, hi. As you can tell by my background, I'm not in Mexico right now. I am in Fort Lauderdale. I'm at my mom's house. I'll be in the US for about a month. I got vaccinated and I am getting the second vaccination. That's really why I'm here for a month is to get that done. And I'll tell you why a little later, why I'm doing that here a little later in this video. But for now, I want to talk to people about taking a break and why it's important and some other stuff. So hey, to anyone joining, let me know if you have questions about taking a break. That's what we're talking about today, taking a career break, between jobs, leaving a job to take a break, what to do when you're burnt out and stressed, how to start planning a break. We're going to cover all of those things today. So, yeah, let me know in the comments if you have questions. I'll be looking down at my notes and for questions and comments. So, if you have them, drop them off and I'll answer them. Okay. Um, so the reason I started thinking about taking a break is Friday and this is Sunday. So Friday and Saturday were my 15-year law school graduation reunion, um, which crept up on me. I didn't realize it had been 15 years. My graduation is probably a week from today-ish. So I've been out of law school for 15 years. And as of Wednesday will or no, Wednesday will be 3-year anniversary of when I actually left Oakland to take a break last time. I started my break a little bit early, a couple weeks earlier, but I left Oakland on May 19th, which is the day after my birthday. So if you're wondering, my birthday is the 18th. I accept gifts and cash. Okay, but focusing. So it's the 15-year anniversary of when I graduated from law school. It is the 3-year anniversary of when I left Oakland to take a break, when I started traveling on my break. And it kind of brought up some feelings for me because for me, I felt like when I was going to law school, like I invested in this thing and I was going to have this was going to be my career and this was what I was doing, right? And so deciding to take a break and stop practicing law kind of took a lot more from me than I expected. Like I thought that this was going to be my forever thing. So it not being my forever thing was hard to adjust to. And I think that other people might be in that place too, where they've invested a lot in their career. So the idea of like walking away from their investment can seem kind of scary. It can seem like, oh, like I did all of this work to get here. Why would I leave it? The thing for me was that I wasn't happy, right? And there was a natural stop because the company I was working for shut down. And so it was like get another job or do something else. And I chose to do something else. Uh, but I want to remind people that even if you feel like you've invested a lot in your job and there's like no way to leave, like there's no way you could give it up, especially if you have a lot of student loans to pay off. I did. I had a lot of student loans to pay off. And so if you're thinking about that, it can feel like, no, I can never leave this job. Um, but it's important to keep in mind that those are sunk costs. Like the time you spent, you're never going to get back, right? Like the time you spent in law school, whatever you did, med school, building your career to where it was. I know a lot of people start at one job and stay in that same company forever. And then, you're in this management position and you put in the work and you're not thinking about leaving because you've been there and you've invested so much. But it's like, if you're not happy, what is the return you're getting, right? What is the return you're getting on what you've invested if you're not enjoying the moments? Um, Lisa says she's already decided there's no way they'll ever be able to pay off student loans. Keep them out of default and move along. Yes. So I paid off all my student loans before I took my break. Um, if I still had student loans, I don't know if I would have taken the break because I hate debt and I would have hated feeling like I had that sitting on my shoulder. But I will tell you now, as someone who's been through the break process and had it change their life, If the only debt you have is student loans, go on ahead and take that break. Go on ahead. I tell people all the time, fuck them loans. Like, it's just the student loans, they knew what they were doing when they lent it to you, right? Like, they knew they were in a position of power, and if you wanted this education, you had to take them, or work like 17 jobs, or do both, like I did. Um, and they know they're gonna get their money eventually. Live your best life. Forget them loans. I mean, pay the minimum. Get them down to like the absolute minimum you can pay, and pay that absolute minimum because we don't want your credit going to shit. But like, don't worry about the student loans. Credit card debt, don't do that with credit card debt. Pay those definitely. Okay, so taking a break, changing your life. Like I said, I felt like I had everything invested, right? Like I had everything invested in my career. I had worked at some terrible jobs to get to where I was. I was an industry expert. I knew what I was doing. Um, Most frequently, when I was in a room, I was the only expert on like my subject area. I was the subject matter expert in every company I worked at, on the topic I worked on. And it was like, do I want to give that up? Can you hear all the ego in that? Like, there's a lot of ego in me saying I was the subject matter expert. There's a lot of like, me. But I wasn't happy. And so I had to let some of that, like, I have built this, I am this, aligning myself with my job, with my expertise. I had to let a lot of it go, and then see what happened next because I knew that where I was wasn't taking me where I wanted to go. Like, I was doing so many things on the weeknights, on the weekends to make myself happy because I wasn't happy during the weekday. And that's a lot of, a lot of your week. When you work, even if you're only working 9 to 5, which how many of us are doing that these days? Even if you're only working 9 to 5, that's still a very good chunk of your life to be unhappy. Um, and so what I had to do, and if you can do it, I recommend it too, is giving up that like that feeling that you've invested in something, like you've gotten to where you are because of all the hard work you've done. No one can ever take that hard work away from you. No one can ever take what you've done away from you, but there is an opportunity to evolve, right? To change your life, change your trajectory by walking away from it. It is not easy. I was terrified, right? But it's like the best choice I ever made in my life. So I want you to, think about that too. All right. Hey, everyone who said hi already. Hey, 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 hey. If you have questions about taking a break, drop them in the comments. I am there. I'm also going to go to my notes because your girl needs notes. All right. Okay. So I've been on a break for 3 years, which sounds crazy. Like when I left, I was like a year, and then I'm going back to work, going to get a job, just like the last job, because I'm an expert in my field, right? um, and then I realized I wasn't happy. Why? I didn't love the last job. Um, One of the most important things that came out of my break was it gave me time to sort of pay attention to what was going on in my body. I'd been holding a lot of stress and tension inside, and and even as I was a lawyer and a yoga teacher, and even with the yoga teacher, breathing, moving my body, doing all that stuff, I was still like a stress case, right? I was still like just a ball of stress and anxious energy. Um, but when I cut the work part out, I got a chance to be a lot more in tune with my body. And I also had opportunities when I wasn't feeling well, when there was something more acute happening, I had the opportunity to deal with it in ways I would have never been able to deal with it when I was working. At one of my jobs, I was in Ohio. I hurt my back used to go out pretty frequently. I realized later on some of it was stress induced um, because of all like the tension I was holding on to. Uh, And my boss told someone else on my team that she thought I was fake. Not necessarily I was faking it, that it was all mental and there was nothing physically wrong with me. But like, I couldn't stand up without pain. Like, not like this isn't in my brain pain. This is like actual physical, tremendous pain. Um, But being on this break, when I've had things that have come up health-wise, I've had time to say like, "Okay, I'm going to baby myself. If this takes a month for me to get better, it takes a month for me to get better." And like I had a eye issue happen earlier this year, and I couldn't look at any light source, so no phone, no computer. It was pretty acute for a while. I have iritis, so light hurts my eyes. Uh, it was an acute flare, and so for a couple days, I couldn't look at anything at all, and then, like, I had to limit myself to, like, 30 minutes a day. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and I can't look at a TV, a phone, a computer for over 30 for more than 30 minutes a day. So, yeah, that was hard because what are we doing when we're at home, right? We're on our devices and our screens. It's really hard. But I laid down in the dark and I listened to podcasts and I didn't have to work, and that was really important to my healing. If I had, um, any of the jobs I've had in the past, I would have had to, like, figure out I would have been in there with an eye patch on, which, yes, if you see me with an eye patch, that's what's going on. Sometimes I have to wear them. But I would have been going to work with an eye patch or going on Zoom meetings with an eye patch on because that's what it would have been. And so having that time off to take care of my health when I've needed it has been really helpful for me. Um, and then another thing that really changed my life was on my break was the ability to figure out what I wanted to do, like listen to my intuition and let that guide me. Because, like I said, when I started my break, I thought that I was going to go right back to doing the same thing. I'm an expert. And then I realized, like, no, that's not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to work for anyone. I don't want to work with people. I only want to work with people that I choose to work with, right? Like, I don't want to be in a team with people that I don't see it for anymore. I'm not interested. If I don't like your energy, we do not work together. That's the new life I have, and I had to intentionally build that. But it's not the life I would have had if I had gone right back into work or if I had gone to a second job when the job I had went out of business. So those were really great opportunities for me. Um, One of the other things I that happened for me was I told you about, like, getting in tune with, like, my body and my intuition, just like my whole life. Like, my life is very intentional now in ways that it wasn't before. Before, I would kind of let whatever I had to do guide me to, like, the next, like, you get a job. Like, I moved to Ohio for a job. That job was terrible. Some people were terrible, right? I was in Virginia in law school. Moved to Ohio for a job. Those people were terrible people. Terrible people like I worked really closely with one lawyer, and people would ask me like who I was working with, whose team I was on, and I would tell them, and every woman would be like, "Eh, oh." The most senior female lawyer in the law firm, um, after I was assigned to this guy, made significant efforts to, like, separate us as much as possible. Like, my office was next to his, she had my office moved. Like, she did things like that because she knew it was gonna be an awful situation, and it wasn't like a harassment thing, he was just an asshole. Like, that's how big of an asshole he was that, like, every woman when I said I worked for him was like, "Eh, eh, okay, alright." So I when that got laid off from that job because even though it was terrible, it was a job, they were paying me a lot of money, and it was a recession, so no one was hiring for what I did. Um, I went out of work for a while, found another job in the same area, right? So now I moved to Ohio for one job. That job didn't work out. Moved to another for another job. Wanted to move back to the Bay, moved back, found a job there, moved to the Bay Area, job went out of business. Like the next thing to do was get another job, right? Like our life takes us in these paths, and there's often not a lot of time to think about whether this is the path you want to be on or like the continuation of the path you set out on. Like when I decided to go to law school, all of these things kind of happened, and there wasn't a point where I said like, is this really what I want to do with my life anymore? Right? There's very few opportunities for you to say that. Like, is this still what I want to do with my life? And so part of taking a break is saying, like, is this what I want to do with our life? And I find that so many people were just like me that say, like, oh no, I don't actually want to do the thing that I'm doing or with the people I'm doing it with. I know you're out there. You no longer want to do the thing you're doing with the people you're doing it with. You don't like it. You don't like them people. You don't like that job. But it feels like times are tough. We never know what's going to happen in the future. There's some certainty around this, and there's uncertainty everywhere else out there, right? Like you know what you're dealing with, and so you stick with it. And that is like the status quo, right? Like that's what we all do. I was there. We all do it. We know we have this thing. We know this thing. We stick with this thing, even when it makes us really unhappy. And this is me here today to encourage you not to do that. Do something else. Take a little break. And when I say a break, I mean it could be anywhere from I'm on year three, kicking right into year three. Um, but maybe a month is what you need. Maybe a couple weeks. I recommend at least a month. But like a month, 3 months. And maybe that's between jobs. Like you have a job you're really excited about, but maybe quit your other job a month early before you start this job, right? Like a month gap in between to let your body kind of like take a break, get the sleep you need because you're not getting enough sleep. You're not. I know this. Um, and so do take a break, either that's in between jobs or take a break not knowing what's going to come in the future because when you don't have that certainty of what's coming in the future, it can be scary, but it also opens up a lot of avenues for you. I would not have the life I had now if I relied on certainty because certainty would have put me back into another job, just like the old job, with the same old type of clients I used to have who drove me insane, absolutely insane. And now I don't have that. Now I deal with people, like I said, like I want to deal with, and I get excited about like working with. So taking a break can change your life because there's an openness at the end of it. If you allow there to be, right? If you allow there to be, there's an openness, and that is like that's the key. Is like being open to what the future takes you and like spending this time without fear, knowing that you have skills, right? Like whatever it is you're doing now, you can get back into that. I'm not remembering her name right now. Terrible. My brain is I'll remember it in like 10 minutes and I'll tell you what it is. But I interviewed her for a series I did a couple years ago, people who were traveling the world on adult gap years and career breaks. And one of the things she said was, when I asked her, I was like, "Do you have any concern about getting a job?" And she was like, "No, I don't like the job I have now, and I know I can always get another job I don't like." And for so many of us, I think that's the missing piece. Like, if you don't like the job you have now, what are the chances that you can't get another job you don't like, right? Like, if you love the job, I know it's harder to give up, but if you're like, why am I coming here again? You can always feel like that about another job in 6 months or in 12 months. I know that there are some things that come into planning, and we're going to get into the planning part of it later on. But I want you to think past the fear and into the opportunities, right? So taking a career break gives you a lot of opportunities to see your life in a different way when you're not doing the same terrible thing every day. All right, some comments. Stephanie, hey Steph, mentioned fear-based life planning. Yes, don't do that. I was stuck there for so long, and I think it's a place where a lot of us get stuck. It's that like this is what I know, and I need to stick to what I know, or I need to stick to something that is like extremely planned out without thinking about like what else is out there. Teresa says fear is crippling. Yes. R says, I have at least one more year. My last child will graduate next year from high school. It will be a very long, hard year. I have a very stressful, demanding job. I feel terrible for you, but it's a year. Like, okay, so that's what I want to. We can do anything for a year. You can do it. I used to say you can do anything for an hour, but today I'm saying you can do anything for a year. We know you can. You've been through at least 18 years of this so far, right? Like, you've got this. Um, and so R now is a great time for you to start planning if you're going to take a break. And so I want to talk a little bit about what that planning process is like. Before we get there, Lawrence says, have you ever considered becoming a legal consultant to expats in your area in Mexico? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Mm-mm. No, ma'am. You won't catch me practicing law probably anytime. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Legal clients are interesting. I'm not. I'm not interested. Not anymore. No. I would, knowing what I know now, I would be firing clients all the time. Like, okay, we're not doing this. Sidebar. The thing about legal clients, and forever legal client, I want you to keep this in mind, is a lot of people think because the law is all around us, they understand everything about the law. Well, if you did, you wouldn't hire like a lawyer. And hopefully your lawyer is an expert in the area you're coming that to them to. And if you're an expert, you gotta let them be an expert. But like at my old job, I would have like computer programmers arguing with me about like the words, like the law on paper. Like, well, this is what I think it means. Nobody cares what you think it means, sir. Like nobody. There's only there's only one opinion on the law in this room, and it's me. I don't sit behind your computer when you're clickety clacking and tell you, no, I think you should put an X there and a zero there and a one there. I don't do that because I expect you, computer programmer, to know how to do your job as the expert. But with lawyers, everybody thinks they understand the law. So I had a lot of moments of being like, that's nice, nobody cares. But like in a professional tone, like, that's awesome. We're not going to continue having this conversation about what you think the law means when I'm here telling you what the law means because I've been doing this for years and this is your first time opening this book ever in your life. Okay, thanks. Anyway, back to how to plan your career break. You can tell I have some bruises, some wounds that are unhealed from my years of practicing, and some bruises. I'm gonna ice these bruises. Therapy. All right. Uh, to plan your career break. First thing. So, you said you're leaving in a year. And this is for everyone watching right now. I want you to pick your departure date. Your departure date is the thing that you plan, that you like plan your whole break around, right? So, like, I want you to pick a date. And if you can't pick a date, I want you to pick a season or a month, a year. So, like, your answer might be September 2022. But if you're watching this right now, I want you to leave and you want to take a break or you've ever considered it. I want you to put like your dream date in the comments right now. So is it a specific date? Mine was the day after my birthday because I had a birthday party the night before and then I left in the morning. Um, Teresa's departure month is November. Is that November of this year, Teresa? M. Taylor, September 2022. Dolores, December 2022. That took me too long, Dolores. Whew. I don't know why. RN, November 2022. All right, see, I'm seeing a lot of like late fall, December days. All right. Teresa is leaving this year. Cine Closet, July 2022. I love it. Okay. Anybody else leaving? Tell us when you're leaving. Eugene is June 2027. You have that plan. I feel like Eugene has an actual, like a solid plan on what has to happen because that's a very specific date and it's far out. Okay. So around Thanksgiving for free holdings. Is that Thanksgiving of this year? Sandra, July 2022. Dolores is retired and selling her house and everything's first. I love this, y'all. Like, planned. Okay, we picked a date. April 2022. Love it, love it, love it. If you're watching this on the replay, leave your date in the comments. Go ahead and do that. All right. You've picked your date. Love it. There's no wrong date. It's awesome. Figure out how long you want your break to be. At least a month, maybe 6 months, maybe forever. Forever. Okay, so like, what how long do you want a break? How long of a break do you want? Like, is that a month? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it a year or more? Is it forever? Like, is this your retirement phase? Like, what's going to happen? What does your break look like? For people who already wrote your date, tell me how long you want your break to be. Put it in the comments. I want to know, like, what are you thinking about when you think about a break? Ideally, like, what is your? It doesn't have to be exactly what's going to happen because none of us can tell the future, right? But like, ideally, what do you have in mind? Seeing 3 months. 3 months is a good amount of time. 6 months. All right. Teresa's planning for 1 year. 6 months. Dolores is forever. I love forever. Forever, ever. From Tremaine. All right. Santa Claus said 3 years. That is a great amount of time. You can do a lot. I'm 3 years in, and for 6 months, I I was recovering from knee surgery, unexpected. See, and everything I got to heal from because I didn't have to go to work. And for the next 6 months, it was a whole pandemic and everything was locked down, and I couldn't get back to my place in Mexico. And so even with a year, 3 months has still been a good amount. A year off, a year kind of locked down at my mom's house. Uh, 3 years was still a good amount of time because even when I like couldn't get out of bed because knee surgery and I couldn't walk, it was still like, but I ain't got to go to work. So it's not ideal, but like the mental part and the stress part was gone. All right. All right. July 22 for a 1 month break. I love it. All right. Okay. So when you have an idea of when you're going and how long you want to go for, it's really it gets easier to make to do your planning. Like, how much money do you need? How much do you need to pay off ahead of time? Because if your break is for a month, I'm never going to tell you that you need to pay off all your debt before you go, right? If your break is for 3 years, I'm gonna say, what debts can we pay off? How much money can we save, right? Like a month and 3 years, you're going to approach those very differently. Um, RM says, my date is to walk away from work permanently, retiring early. If I had confetti, I would throw it for retiring early. This is me. My jazz hands are me throwing confetti. I'm very corny. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Um, yeah. So when you have an idea of how long you want to go for, you'll be able to figure out the things you need to do a little bit easier. Paying off debt, saving money, planning where you're going. All of those things will get a little bit easier when you know when you're leaving. So how much time do you have to plan, save, execute, and um, when it's going to happen, how long you have to do it, and how long you're going to do it for, right? All right. The next thing I want you to think about is, do you want to travel during this time, or do you want to stay still somewhere? Now, you could stay still somewhere that isn't home, right? I'm not saying sit on your couch. I'm saying uh, maybe you want to stay in the US and you've always dreamt of a beach in Florida, just because I'm here right now. I was going to say Lake Michigan, but it gets cold there, so I can't even. Okay. Is the sound back? Is it back? It's back. Okay. All right. My phone does this thing. Sorry, y'all. But we're here. Okay. Oh, Sharon wants to move to Paris. Sharon, take me with you. Um, okay. Where were we? We were talking about traveling. Okay. So, like, do you want to move to Hawaii for the length of your break? Or do you want to bop around the world, 3 places, 20 places, never stopping, keep going. That is going to impact your budget a lot. That's probably the thing that's going to impact your budget the most. So, where, how much traveling do you want to do on your break? For some people, it's absolutely none. They just want to sit still. I know someone right now who wants to sit still and work on projects in her own home, and that is her break, and that is lovely. But for other people, if you want to bop around a bit, like that is going to impact your budget. Even if you want to move somewhere, right? That's going to, and stay there the whole time, that's going to impact your budget differently than bopping around to a bunch of different places. And now someone's at the door. Of course, of course. Um, that could be the delivery man. I don't know. We gonna see what's my mom's good enough to do this. All right. So let me see your comments. Y Rose says she wants to leave in July 2021 to get her feet wet for 30 days. Never been out of the country. Okay, so in the group that Stephanie and I run, Exodus Summit, we have one person who had never been out of the country or never been out of the country still. I don't remember what it was. And she took a 3-month trip. My mom's creeping by in the background, but you can totally see her. She took a 3-month trip to Turkey solo. And it was like, and she loved it and it was great. Uh, and so don't feel like if you haven't been out of the country before, traveling out of the country for a long amount of time is something you can't do. It totally is. Stephanie did a video yesterday about traveling solo. And so if you haven't watched that, I don't have the link. I am not going to try to find a link to it because your girl can't do too many things at once, but I'll put the link in the description when uh, when this is over. So if you haven't seen it, I'll definitely link to it. Okay, so peeps, 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 tell me if you want to bop around, where you want to go, ideally what your break looks like. Okay. Stephanie says she's 2 years into retirement. She's over it. She needs 3 to 6 winter months by a beach. Yes, 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 yes. Months by a beach. Um, uh, for your travel, so she likes to go a lot of places. Kiki says clients can be crazy. Yep, yep, yep. Don't even bother creeping down. Everyone can see. She's trying to creep by in her own home. You have to do that. Some defendants would tell me what to ask a witness in trial, even though I practiced a long time, or think a witness that tanked their case helped them. Yes. Everyone thinks you watch Law and Order. People think they know how to do your job. You don't. Let me do what I do. But okay, back to traveling. Um, I saw a Brazil and Portugal. Yes. RM says the pandemic really woke me up and lit a fire under my ass. Yes, yes, yes. Um, M. Taylor has a list of places in Mexico. Sandra says Mexico, maybe Bali. You're free to travel. So I'd like to go to each place for a month, 2 months, starting in Mexico. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Okay, so Mexico's on the list a lot. Probably because I talk about Mexico a lot. Probably because I attract people who are interested in Mexico because I talk about Mexico a lot. Not that talking about Mexico to influence your decision. That's not what I meant. Africa, South Africa, and Mozambique. I haven't been to Mozambique, but it sounds good. I love South Africa. Um, I'd like to stay a month in Portugal near the sea with a trip to Paris. Esther, that sounds so beautiful. It sounds so beautiful. I want that too. All right. Okay. So you know when you're leaving, right? So if you weren't here already, we talked about when people are leaving. So what is your departure date? How long you want to go for? And do you want to be in one place or do you want to bop around a bit? My advice as far as bopping around is don't do it too much. Like one city a month is good. Maybe two if you're stretching it. There were times when I would do like 2 cities a week when I was bopping around. It's too much. I was tired. I wanted that shit to be over. I wanted my break to end because I was tired. Like I was like, work? Can I go back to work? Would I rather be at work than all of this traveling? Because it was too much. But so 1 to 2 cities a month is a great pace for bopping around like that. Home base in Mexico, several trips a year in other countries. I don't do weather extremes. Yes, Dolores, I feel you. And Teresa is on Team Bop Around. We need t-shirts. Team Bop Around. We do. Okay. Uh, Now, if you have questions about career break planning, drop them in. Drop them in the comments. That's what we're here for today. Um, and if you've taken a break and you have advice, drop that in there too. I saw a question earlier that I can't find now. I think it was around where I lost audio. But someone asked if, oh, Jay White says, do I feel safe living in Mexico? Yeah, I feel really safe. I feel really, really safe living in Mexico. Like, no one bothers me. People leave me alone. I don't I don't do things. this- I don't want this to sound like victim blaming because it's not, but I don't do things that put me the in the like in the sphere of influence of most criminals. Like, people are always worried about the cartels. I do not sell drugs. I do not buy drugs. Me and the cartels, we're here and here. Like, we're not our circles don't we're not I just and that's what most people fear or what they think about when they hear about cops. In Mexico City, or I hear about criminals. People in Mexico talk about cops a lot and like crooked cops. I have heard, especially in some of the beach towns, of of police demanding bribes from people. But you know what they're not doing? They're not shooting tourists, right? Like, I am not saying the bribe is okay. I I have never experienced it. In Mexico City, the police I come in contact with are like, I will help you or I will leave you alone. Let's leave each other alone. It's a great idea, right? Um, but they don't, they see me walking down the street, they're not bothering me for anything. They're like, I might get a head nod. Like, if I give it to them first, I'll get a head nod back, right? Give them a little hola, a little buenos dias, I'm gonna get it back. The worst I ever hear from people in Mexico is that the police extorted them for a bribe for something. They're not shooting people, right? Like, I don't feel unsafe because I'm Black. So, yes, I feel very safe in Mexico. All right, I just saw a couple good questions. Let me get back there. How long is too long for a career break? I'm worried about a too big gap in my resume. I plan to teach abroad in the coming years, but also interested in the idea of mini retirements. Okay, Esther, that was one of my biggest fears was um, my industry requires like it volumes of knowledge, right? And I thought that if I leave, I might get rusty, right? Like, these volumes of knowledge. I used to be able to tell you how long you had to, um, how much notice you had to give a customer before repoing their car in Tennessee off the top of my head. I could just tell you that, right? And I was worried that when I didn't have that knowledge readily available to me and like I can pick it out top of my head kind of thing, I wouldn't be as an attractive a candidate in the hiring process. And so that was one of the reasons I was hesitant to take a break. I talked to my friends about this. And they were like, well, you can continue to work while you're traveling. I didn't. I needed a break. I couldn't continue to work while I was traveling. But I realized that I was planning to go back to the life I knew. And Esther, I invite you to think about not doing that. Like, thinking that no break is too long to get back to doing what you want to do, right? Like, if you have um if you take a long break, it might be the thing you need to show you that this is like the career you have is not what you want, or that there are other opportunities to do it, maybe for yourself, or in some other way. And so I've told the story before about how I planned to go back to the life I had, right? Like, I put I didn't sell anything, I didn't give anything away, I put my entire life in storage because I was gonna come back in a year and get the same-ish job for a different company, the same-ish apartment in the same city. My shit has been in storage for 3 years, and I have not seen it, and I have not even been back to the city in 3 years. Like, I left thinking, "This is what I know," right? Like, this is what I know, and this is what I know, and maybe, like, this is what I'm coming back to. It's gonna be, like, pretty much exactly the same. And so I was worried about that gap in my resume and, like, getting rusty, and then I realized that it's not the life I had is not at all the life I wanted, and I advise people that if you hold on too tightly to what you have in the beginning, it can you can get pulled back to it even if it's not what you want, right? Like I have all this stuff in storage and I had to like choose that I wasn't going to go back to that life. And I had to choose that I wasn't going to go back to that career. It was an easy choice to make though, because I really did hate it. Uh and so I think there's space. I would say give yourself space to not worry about your old life and to say like an unknown out there might be the right thing for me. So don't worry about whether I'll be able to from come back to what I had before. Think about like what's ahead of you. I um yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a tough one for me. I don't think there's anything. I think until you want to work again, your break has not been long enough, right? Until you're like, I want to work and I have decided I want to do this work, your break hasn't been long enough. If you will be able to get another job that you like as much as the job you like right now, as the job you have right now. Like have faith in that, right? Like um things will work out for the best. And you have a better idea of knowing what's for the best after a break. Don't worry about it. Okay. Um, we just said I've struggled to get a job right now. I haven't worked since I got my NPA last May. I think the gap's an issue even with the pandemic. Yeah, yes. So the gap can be an issue, um, but the gap can make you get creative, right? Like the gap can make you get creative about what you do in your life. I think that um, Weezy, I hope you're open to a whole bunch of possibilities. When I talk about not going back to the exactly the same thing, I think about not um, like opening yourself up to possibilities. So that's what I would say. Like as long as you're open, you just kind of have to work with that gap and what it means. But I don't want you to tie yourself too tightly to one industry, one job, especially if it's the one you've had before, because it might not be the one that's right for your future. All right. Okay, Teresa says, this is what I'm working on right now, not stressing about being able to return to this life, which I don't like, because why I want something different. Yes, like allow yourself the space. I I wish I had made different decisions when I was leaving. I wish I had said, this might not be the this may not be the choice that's best for me, right? I wish I had said that and I'd got rid of myself instead of putting it in storage. I didn't do that. They charge my credit card every month for that storage. And every month I'm like, is that stuff still there? Um, but yeah, I think part of going on a break like this is uh figuring releasing yourself from like who you are today so you can grow into who you're meant to be tomorrow. All right. Esther says, I love my job, just not where I work. That was me, Esther. I loved the work I did. I did not love the people I did it with. That was the distinction I made. Loved the work, did not love the humans. Like if I could do my job without humans, I would love it. But I felt like that at like the last 3 jobs. I think every legal job I ever had, I felt like that. I loved the work. I did not love the humans. And after a while, I had to realize that like that's what it's going to be. Like if 3 out of 3 jobs have been loving the work, not loving the humans, The fourth job is probably gonna be like that too. Like if I get a fourth legal job, it's probably gonna be the same thing. I don't love the humans. Um, and so Esther, I don't know if that's what your job is like. But sometimes you have to decide that like maybe something maybe something different would be right for you. I love what I do now because I get to choose who I work with, and I get to talk to people like you who are like happy and supportive and like excited about the future. Yay. All right. Azura, I'm not ready to go back to work, but feel the pressure from family who says that I'm wasting my potential in my education. Azura, they don't live your life. Actually, I would ask one question. Do they pay your bills? If they don't pay your bills, they don't get an opinion. When they want to start paying your bills and you're okay with that, then they get opinions. Until then, I think a lot of times family is one of the hardest parts to negotiate when you're taking a break. Like a lot of people don't understand. Like I'm from a West Indian family. My mom's Jamaican. Like I have seen her work multiple jobs at a time. The biggest fear I had about it taking a break, well, probably the second biggest fear was telling her. I was like, she retired in her 70s. I'm trying to tell her I want to retire or I want to like stop working because I'm tired and stressed in my 30s. What's she gonna do? Like, I thought she was gonna freak out. She didn't. But for a lot of people, they don't understand your life and they're not in your shoes. And so they're thinking from their life, right? All we can ever do is think from our base of experiences because we haven't experienced other people's lives. Like I can give you advice from where I have been. I cannot give you advice from where Adelia has been. Hey Adelia, I see you here, girl. Because I haven't been in her shoes, right? Um, and so they are giving you the best that they have. They're probably concerned um, and that concern is based in fear. And a lot of us plan from fear. But if you're not ready to go back to work and they are not paying your bills and you are happy, continue to be happy and tell them you'll go back when you're ready. But, like, make it sound pretty because family sometimes needs that. And sometimes, especially in some families, there are just people you have to stop talking to or stop telling your business to. Like, tell your business to the people who support your business. The people who don't support your business don't need to know. Sorry, they don't. All right. Esther says that's definitely her. People are not great. I love teaching the kids, but it's not sustainable working with some people I work with. I think I saw Esther earlier that you wanted to teach online. Explore some of that and see how you like it compared to teaching in person because you don't have that. I mean, there's the corporation you'll work for, but you won't have like the one on one interactions with humans and see if that is like a better fit for you. Yes. Elle thinks Stephanie and Adelia should put together a girls' trip to help me with the storage situation. I think they would be terrible because they would try to get me to get rid of most of my stuff. But I could use the emotional support. And I'm always down for a girls' trip. Like I said yes, and then I was like, but it'd be terrible. Yes, it would be awful. Right. I was just thinking of teaching abroad so I can travel a bit more, but after I wish to teach online. Esther, I would recommend Esther playing with teaching online, like I said, a little bit first, um, and then see what happens with the teaching abroad. So at least get a little taste of teaching online to see if it's a significantly different experience. Um, Hi Stephanie. Hey Adelia. Leave me alone. Adelia just said she'd throw away all my stuff. Pow 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 pow. Oh, and Adelia has a key to my apartment, and she's gonna be going there soon, unsupervised, to water my plants to make sure nothing dies while I'm gone. Don't touch anything. I know you won't. I know you won't. But woo, don't do that. All right. I had a friend ask me if I ever watched the movie Not Without My Daughter and asked doesn't that scare me to travel and date abroad. Don't put drugs in your suitcase. Don't carry things for other people. Don't wander off with strangers. You'll be fine. Like, for every dramatic movie, and I say this as someone who, like, doesn't wanna stay at hostels, not because of any of the hostel movies, because those are way too scary for me to watch, but just because, like, humans, right? So, like, I have my own, not fears, but dislikes about I have my own fears about travel, everybody does, about everything. Uh, but even, like, we all have our own ingrained fears and things we're cautious about and things we don't wanna do because our beliefs about them. And so if someone watches one scary movie, or one, it's not scary, not without my daughter, right? Like, I think she was trying to get home and she couldn't leave. I saw that movie, like, in the '80s, I think, or early '90s. It must have been early '90s. Uh, for every movie like that, there are thousands of people having a great time and coming home with nothing going wrong, right? For every broke down palace, there are millions of people who never end up in a jail in Thailand, right? Like, you'll be okay. You will be okay. Don't buy drugs. Don't put them in your suitcase. Don't kidnap anybody's kid. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Traveling abroad, it people will try to tell you will try to make their fear your fear, right? Like, they want you to be afraid of the same things you're afraid of, they're afraid of. Why? You have, like I said, we all have our own fears. We all I don't go out at night. I don't When I travel alone, I do not go out at night. I am a day traveler. What happens after it turns dark? I don't know. If my hotel has a lounge, I might go to the lounge. I might be in bed with some room service and a remote control. I don't know. It depends. I'm not hitting the town at night because I'm a solo traveler. I'm a woman. I usually walk a lot of places, so then I gotta, like, be looking at the phone, figuring out where I'm going, or I'm getting in a car, a taxi, Uber, whatever, with a stranger to get home, and I don't wanna do that after I've been drinking. And I like drinking in when I'm out and about, right? Like, it's a fun thing to do. So if I go out, I'm probably going to have a cocktail, and I am cautious, and I don't want to do that alone, and I travel most times alone. That is That is my thing. But I'm not going to tell you, you cannot go out at night when you travel alone, because that's a like, you might that's my thing, right? Like, I'm gonna own my thing. I am not scared of getting arrested in Thailand for having a suitcase full of drugs or a trinket from somebody else, because 'cause I'm not carrying anybody else's shit, right? Like, that could be your thing. We all have our things. No one else's fears. I'm not taking out anybody else's fears. They belong to them. My fears belong to me. You gotta carry your own baggage. Like, part of this break is knowing what baggage is yours and what baggage belongs to other people. You don't want it. You don't need it. It's not for you. It's got nothing to do with you. You're done. So, ours is not one person I've told has been supportive. It's all fear. Yes, stop telling people. I don't mean to sound harsh with that, but stop telling people. Until you find the supportive environment, right? Whether that's a Facebook group, whether that's something else, whether that's, I don't know, an online message board. I don't know where you're going to find your supportive people. Facebook groups are great for that, though. The right ones. Uh, when The people closest to you will come with fear first, every time. Not every time, but they're most likely. The closer people are to you, the more likely they are to respond with fear versus people who are further away and have more distance from you. Those distance, those distant people, you're probably sharing it with them because they have similar dreams, and you're all supporting each other's dreams. The people who are closer to you don't frequently share those dreams, so they see the things that can go wrong instead of the things that can go right. And you need to find people who are supportive of the things that can go right, because it can be an awesome experience. All right. All right. Cha, 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 cha. Yes, Teresa says, I have my own fears. I don't need other people's fears piled onto mine. Yes. Azura says, I just returned from 2 months in Ghana and it was amazing. Prayerfully, I'll be going back later this year. I didn't have as much money to take as I wanted, but I went anyway. Yes. Yes, make the choice, go, figure it out, you will be okay. Mm, 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 mm. My mother's gonna be the most frustrating to tell, but I'm not asking, I'm telling you, I'm out, deal with it. Yes. I see, I thought my mother was, like I said, she might be watching this right now, I don't know. But I thought she was gonna be the worst person to tell, and she was actually super supportive. Um, but it was like super supportive, like, where are we going? And I was like, we are not going anywhere. I boundaries. We gotta boundaries. No, I she was super supportive, but it was like, where are we going? And I was like, no, I'm going. You are staying. This is a break for me. Um, and so didn't take long to work through, but we worked through it a little bit. Okay, I mentioned that I maxed out my 401k, but how do you support your life until you can pull from then? Do you have a ton invested before to support your break? Okay, full transparency moment. I have been saving for retirement since I was 18. Every single job I've had, I I saved. Got a if there was a retirement plan, I was getting the match. I was doing everything, put as much money as possible. When my job and I've been doing that so long, but I didn't feel the money leaving anymore. It was just kind of like I'd never see that money. Like I'm so used to not having that money. Um, and I'm also a very good saver. So I paid off my all of my debt. I was out of debt. Um, I had saved money, and then my job for the last 6 months when they were going out of business, they paid me double my income to stay there instead of going to get another job. That helped. Full transparency moment. That really helped. And so I still have money from that's 3 years later, and I still have money from that. Now, it wasn't because it was just like they didn't give me millions of dollars. Like that's not what happened. It's because the lifestyle that I chose to live once I left Oakland, which was super expensive, cost significantly less. Like I said, I spent 1 year in my mom's guest room on my back because recovering from surgery or during the pandemic. Like I didn't spend any money for a year. Like I just didn't. Right. Um, recovering from surgery was kind of awful, but it was cheap. Right. Well, except for the medical expenses. Um, yes, Teresa, they doubled my salary to stay because, like I said, the expert. I was the it was the only one of any expertise, legal expertise there, and they needed it. So they actually paid me for 7 months, double my salary. Uh, and so like I said, that helped. But I, most people that I talk to think that taking a career break is not something they can achieve for a number of reasons, but a lot of times it's money. But these people, hey, if you're out there, hey, 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 if you don't think a career break is something that is achievable for you, I want you to think, um, I want you to look at numbers. Like, figure out where you want to go and what the cost of living is there, right? Like, there are a lot of places in the world where you can live for a month for less than $1,000, and you can live well for less than $1,000 a month. And if that's the case, if you can save $3,000, you can go take a break for 3 months. And 3 months is like the average time I saw or is that median? I don't know. It's the time that I saw most frequently. Math. I don't do it. I tell you all the time. I'm not. It was the time that I saw come up most frequently when you guys listed how long you wanted to be gone. It was 3 months. And so if you can stay someplace and your cost of living is under $3,000, if you can get a round trip plane ticket for around $1,000, that's $4,000, right? And so Can you save $4,000 in a year and a half to take a 3-month break? I don't know. But if you look at your budget now, are there things that you can cut out? Is there more saving you can do? Is there money you can redirect in order to do that? And so career breaks, I think feel like people are in 2 camps. Like they're either in like maybe it's 3. One is like, I love my job and I would never take a career break, right? Never, ever. 2 is please, please get me out of here as soon as possible. I have a plan. I'm starting to work on a plan. I'm doing this. It's going to happen. Or the third category are people who are like, it sounds lovely, but I don't think it's possible for me. And I want people in that third category because I was there. Like, I shit you not, I was there. Um, I did not think it was possible for me for a lot of reasons, money included. Like, I did not think I had enough money to do this until I started doing the math. And when I started doing the math, I was like, "Oh, what I can I can do this." Um, and so yeah, I just realized I did not answer your question. But yes, so I lived off of the double the income. I make money now through online courses. I make money now from YouTube now that I've been monetized. And you guys see ads. I have seen people say there are too many ads, not a lot, but every once in a while someone says there are too many ads. These ads help me eat. So apologies if you think there are too many ads. You can always just send me money directly. They'll still be the same amount of ads, though. I don't decide. YouTube just puts them in. Like I'm not. I don't. YouTube jingle jangles are magic, and they decide how many ads to put in each thing, and then half a penny gets in my pocket. Thank you for the half a penny, y'all. Um. So yeah. Uh. Though I do things now that help me earn money. I still pull from my savings. To be perfectly transparent, because I know you guys are interested. I saw a couple people saying like, answer the question, answer that question. Okay, so I am not living. I could live on the money I earn each month. I choose to live the life I really want to, which includes rent that is not cheap. But like I said, I was in my mama's guest room for a year. So the next year, I decided to live my life, live my best life. After a year of no rent, I am now living all the rent. I have all the rent. I'm making up for last year when I paid none. Um, and so I could live on the money I earn each month from YouTube, from courses, from online coaching, which I do, which I haven't plugged at all. I need to start telling y'all what I do. Uh, but I don't. I take a little bit of money out of the savings that I have from some from the company paying me double, and then some from just money I'd saved from forever. Because I've been, like I said, I'm a big saver, and so I always have money. I was always saving for the future because you never know what could happen. And then, like, you never know what could happen. Happened to me. I lost my job, and I was like too emotionally worn out to get another one. And the world didn't end. It worked out okay. Like I'm much happier now than I was before. So, yay! All right. I hope that answered your question. I know I went around that a bit. Okay. Yes, Esther says, I don't mind watching ad-free content if it supports Black women doing what they want to do. When people complain, I'm like, but why? What is, you could always just click off. Like, if it's too many ads, you don't have to complain about it. You could just not watch it. It's free, right? Like, anyway, let's see. Cha 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 cha. I save so much I can live off of half my income, which is what my pension will be. Plus, I've saved above and beyond that too. Yeah. That's about what I did, is I live probably off of a little less than half. Yeah. M. Taylor says, I pay for premium for Google Ads gone. I didn't realize. I guess I did know that you could pay to not have ad. Ad yes. Pay for the ads to be gone if you want. All right. Azura says, interested in your coaching services. I should have a link to that available pretty easily. I host an Ask Me Anything session. So if you want to talk about planning your career break, you can do it there. If you want to talk about Mexico, you can do it there. If you want to talk about money, you can do it there. I am not a financial advisor and I don't give financial or legal advice. Um, but we can talk about what you want to talk about. Okay, y'all are all in here on YouTube Premium, and I like never even considered it as I forget that it's a thing. I see y'all. Right. Ludell says she's taking her precious pennies to Mexico. Yes, do it. Do it. What city do you want to go to, Ludell? NYC, Brooklyn. If I was saying that correctly, the Ludell part. I'm pretty sure I got Brooklyn right. All right. I'm tired of working. I want a break from traditional work. Yes. I think that I also get older people occasionally in the comments who are pretty much like, "How dare you be tired at in your 30s?" And I'm like, "Why? Just because you were tired in your 30s and you worked till your 60s doesn't mean that like I can't do something differently when I'm tired in my 30s because we've all been tired since like 25, right? Like we've all been tired for a long time. And begrudging someone else their time off does not make your life any easier, right? Begrudging someone else their happiness does not make you happier. So when you come in here talking about, I don't know why you would even that we're all tired. Yes. And so take a break. I'm not saying that some people should take a break and some people shouldn't. Everybody who can make it happen for themselves should make it happen for themselves. So bring the positivity. We're here to help. We're here to help everyone collectively. Like let us all bring it up. Yes. Z Butterfly says she wished she had the courage to do what I had done. Yes. Whenever you can get out of corporate America or corporate wherever you are, or we're all tired. We're all tired. Let somebody else's happiness inspire you. Don't get in here being like grumpy pants. Teresa, been tired for years. As long as we can remember, we've been tired. Whew. Yes. Yes, that's how rude. I just started my teaching career and already know I won't be working until I'm in my 60s. Haters gonna hate. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But look at all you guys in the love today. All of us. All of us. Or calling us lazy. Lazy is a trigger word for me. Why do black women have to be overworked and tired all the time? I refuse. I refuse to be overworked. When I overwork it, it's because I've overworked myself and I have to check myself like that email's still gonna be there when you get back. It's fine. They don't need to. It's fine. Um, and so I don't get lazy in my direction a lot, or if I do, they don't. There are a lot of things that aren't like that, but it is the like, how dare you do something about being tired when I didn't do anything about being tired? Ma'am, nobody cares. Like this, just be happy for people who are making their life work and move around. And so, if those aren't the people you're finding, um, find some other people. So, for people who don't know, Stephanie Perry and I run a Facebook group for Black women who want to take career breaks, who want to move abroad, who want to live their best lives. And I'm going to try to write a link to it right now. We'll see what happens. If you're not in there already, it is a Facebook group. It is awesome. Let's see if that link was right. Ow! I might have done it. I might have typed it right. Yes. Okay. This group is only for Black women. It's because so many Black women don't have a space to be free. They don't have a space to share without other people's judgments. They don't have a space where they feel solely supported. And so we created this space for that. We truly don't make exceptions. So don't write to us asking for an exception because we won't do that. This is solely a space for Black women. If you're not in it already, it's where we go for other, it's where you'll find people who are excited about this journey and who want to take this journey with you. Um, will you ever do a meetup in Mexico City post pandemic? So, like in 17 years? Maybe. Right now, Mexico City is just, it's too dense and there are too few people vaccinated and wearing masks properly, either or of those last two, to feel comfortable doing it right now. When I see groups in Mexico City, it just looks wild. Like y'all are real close together, y'all are not wearing masks. And until recently, the hospital bed, there weren't enough available for people who were sick. And so weren't doing it. Maybe one day, but it'll be a while. All right. Ooh, you don't get a gold medal for exhausting yourself into old age. Ludell, NYC, Brooklyn. Yes, there is no gold medal for being exhausted. All you get is tired with joints that don't move the way they used to, right? And a back that hurts. My knees, right? Like I was 40 when my knee was like, ha ha! Absolutely nothing happens, but you can't walk now, right? Like surgery, for no reason, for no reason. So, um, they say that like youth is wasted on the young. I'm not gonna say that. What I'm gonna say is like, don't give up your today for your tomorrow. Like at a certain time, it sounds great. Like, yeah, like I'm gonna work myself like crazy until I'm X age and then enjoy. Maybe. Or maybe like enjoy today as much as possible. Tomorrow will work itself out. It will. It will. All right. It's an antiquated mentality the older generation has that you need to be overworked and buy nice things. Blah blah blah. It's ridiculous. Yes. Um, my bestie's dad used to talk about traveling to Vegas when he retired. He couldn't wait. He retired at 72 and died 2 weeks later. Yikes. Ooh. That is that is very terrible, Angela. I hate to hear that. But it's what happens, right? Like we think that we have to work for joy, right? Like we have to like kill ourselves today to deserve joy. We don't deserve happiness and freedom and lightness, right? There's a certain lightness that comes on a career break. There's a certain lightness that comes when you don't have to work or when you've intentionally taken time off of work. Um, and people act like you don't, that lightness isn't something you deserve year round. I see a lot of hustle culture around us, especially like on Twitter and some spaces on Facebook that I avoid. Um, and of course, there's like the sleep when I'm dead, right? Like whatever. So like ignoring that, um, there's still the idea that like if you're not torturing yourself with work right now, you don't deserve happiness and you don't deserve joy. And I think you do just by living, right? Like you were born. If you are a Black woman born in America, you deserve more joy than you have, right? Like, you deserve more joy than you have right now. And the idea that you have to earn it, that you have to work for it, that you have to like kill yourself to get it, that you have to be somebody's mule in order to get it, isn't something I want to live by. It's not something I want you to live by. I want you to know that you deserve joy just for showing up. Like you you're here. None of us decided where we were going to be, but we're here now. And so you're deserving. You're deserving of joy. You're deserving of nice things. Um, to get nice material things, you have to do the work. But to get joy, you don't have to. You don't have to like work until your body starts falling apart to deserve joy and happiness and lightness. I want you to get it now while you can. So that's my spiel. All right. You are as young as you are going to be right now. Y'all in here Quoting Miss Stephanie Perry, yes, she's so wise. I love her. Let's see. Happiness and joy are earned virtues in the Protestant work ethic, the MO in America. Yes. We don't need, like, I just feel like because I'm alive, because I am a human, a living, breathing human in one of the richest countries in the world, the richest country in the world, I deserve a certain level of financial stability, right? Just by being here. I believe that, right? They're not going to give it to me, right? They're not, the government is not interested in my opinion on that. But they can't take away my quest for joy, right? Like they're not going to make sure that all their citizens are financially taken care of, but we all have places to live and to sleep, and we all feel safe. They're not going. They have shown us already that they're not going to do that. They can't take away my joy, right? They can take away my quest for joy. Like I don't have to work to feel. I don't feel like I deserve. I used to feel like working was how I was the price I paid for like the weekends, right? And for like the happy things. And in a way, it is materially, but the US breeds slave mentality comment from you're free to travel. Yeah, that's it. Like it does. You spend all this time getting in debt, doing all the things in order to pay for more things and pay for more things. Um, don't do it. You know, there's a lot of things that we are told are important in the US that aren't always in our um, best interest. We could start with home ownership. I know this is a hard one, but a lot of times, like home ownership isn't really in your best interest. It takes a lot more than people think. Um, and yes, some people use it as a way to make money, but some people just lose money on it. And so, thinking about the ways that you can divest from the things that you are told are the right choice and start I'm starting to sound like a hotep. Sorry, y'all. I was gonna say start like making up your own mind, right? And then I realized I was verging into hotepery. Okay, so if you but seriously, like a lot of times we're told that we have to go to college, get the job, buy the house, have the kids. But those aren't always the things that work for you. And so if you think about what is in your best interest and seriously think about what these things require and what they're worth to you in the long run, you might see that it's not exactly what you want. Um, yeah. We are trained to believe work validates us, so a lot of us don't pursue our dreams. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like, and that's why how many of us are like tied to the identity of our job. Like when we meet people, it's the first thing we talk about. What do you do? Sometimes that's because a lot of us, um, what we do takes up so much of our time. But a lot of times, like I used to be Rashida the lawyer because I moved to town to practice law at this firm. So when I didn't know anybody, it was like, oh, you work at X place. I shall not say their name because I don't want to get sued. Because I always talk about how terrible they are, but I never say their name. um, but they were terrible. Uh, so yeah, like when I moved to Columbus, it was you're Rashida that works at the lawyer who works at this law firm, and it was like that's me, right? And so that kind of became my identity or how I saw myself in town because it was like the introductory point, right? Um, but it meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing, and it left. I got laid off on like a Tuesday, I think. By like Friday, that identity was gone. It was no more because I didn't work there. Still a lawyer, didn't work there, and my contacts kind of I lost some of them. Um, and so not identifying with your job and having that be sort of like a separate thing that you do, and you're allowed to get joy from it. But if you're not getting joy from it, then holding on to it tight and making it your identity can be really can be dangerous. Not really dangerous. Nothing's gonna happen, but it can do things mentally that it's not supposed to do. Let's see. We're talking about home ownership in the comments. Let me get back in here. Um, Monique says, "I'm a realtor, and homeownership is not the end all and be all of life." Yes, 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 yes. Some friends and family won't admit they are jealous, but I'm happily surviving without working. I choose a simple life, and my odd fun jobs I do whenever I need money works for me. Yes, that okay. So that's what I want. I want us to know that like your life can look the way you want it to be, whether that's on a career break, whether that is doing odd jobs when you need money and not when you don't, and living a simple life. Like whatever that looks like, live that life. You don't have to do what everyone else wants to do because if you do, okay, so many of us do what we're told we're supposed to do, and we follow this path, but like none of the people we're looking at are happy. Like none of the humans that we are like looking at on this path that we're on, we're looking sideways, we're looking ahead, we're looking behind. No one's happy. Like who? One of the things that I see when I talk to young lawyers and we talked about getting to specific fields, and I say this to young people all the time. Like, look at the people who are 20 years ahead of you in life, like in your career, in that career that you want. Uh, do you want the life they have? Right? Like, when you see people who are like in the future, as you start heading on this path, look at people 20 years ahead of you. Is the life they have the life you want? Like, if I had asked myself that at the law firm on my first day, I'd have been like, nah, this ain't it. These lawyers, that is not the life I want. Like a lot of times we get lost in like the glitz of it all, but that they were unhappy. They were unhappy like 20 years into it. Why? Why would I think I would be any different? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. They're not happy. 20 years from now, I wouldn't have been happy. Well, it's 15 years in, and I can tell you that I definitely wouldn't have been happy. So I don't think that would have changed in 5 years. Um, uh, so yeah, it's do you. Okay, let's see. Angela says, OMG, hubby and I are at a crossroads in our lives to either take the 20% we've saved and buy a mortgage in the US or leave the US and put the same energy into a new retired lifestyle. Angela, I have two answers for you. One is fuck that house. Go live your best life overseas and take that money and live for years on that money. Other answer, the more diplomatic answer, is like which which one leads you to the life you want to have, right? Which one leads you to the future you want? Um, 20% down on a house is awesome, but then you got to pay a mortgage every month, right? And is that where you want to be? Does it make the right does it end up do you end up where you want to be if you do that? And maybe the answer is yes, right? Like maybe the answer is yes. Maybe it's not. I People ask me all the time like, "Do you want to buy a house or a home in Mexico City?" And I'm like, "I love it there, and I don't want to buy a house there. Like I want to be free to roam. I want to put my money towards like other things." Um, but houses make sense for some people with the life they want to live. When I had a house, it made sense for me to have a house. The minute it didn't make sense for me to have a house, I was like, y'all can take this. Who wants to buy it? What's the price? Put some cash in my pocket, use that cash to fund my future. Oh, that's the other way. Sorry, y'all, I forgot about that. When you guys talked earlier about how I was affording to travel, I had some house money because, funny story, I lived in Ohio. I had my own house, which I paid off the mortgage on because I bought a super cheap house, and I paid off the mortgage in about 10 years. And then I bought an even cheaper house to flip. Flipped it. Those houses sold within like a week of each other. I got the money basically on the same day. Had that money, the money from those two houses, full. No, I did not have to pay anybody out of the proceeds from those houses. All of the money from those 2 houses was not enough to put on a down payment on a house in the Bay Area for, like, a condo, for, like, a one I could not the the money from those 2 houses in Ohio, 2 three-bedroom houses in Ohio, was not enough for a down payment on a one-bedroom condo in the Bay Area. So I was like, "Let me put it in the bank until or in, investments until I figure out what I'm going to do about, like, where I live." Until I figure out save some more money to buy that was part of my plan. I was gonna save some more money and buy something in the Bay Area. And I didn't. So I've been spending my house money to live the way I wanna live without working or without, like, actively going to work and doing things. I still do work. Like, this is work, but it's fun because I like y'all. Um, and so yeah, that was part of it too. A lot of the things I did lined me up for this career break without me knowing what I was going to do, but that was because I was always really cautious with money. So, yeah, it just worked out that way. Um, why, Rose? I know in my soul, once I catch a feeling of being free from being tied to a job, I'll never look back. You won't, sis. You will not. You will. Once you, Adelia's in here, she'll tell you the same thing. Like, once you say I am going to do me and I'm going to find a way to support myself. I'm going to do things that I need to do, and live the life I want to live. It's really hard to go back to other people's rules. Like the idea of someone telling me that like I couldn't go on vacation the day I wanted to go on vacation, or that like someone telling me how much I deserved in pay. No. An annual review from people I don't respect? No. I can't. Once you're free from that, you won't want to go back. It's really hard. It's really hard. All right. Okay. Angela says, buying a home in DC area is hell expensive, but is it really living my best life? Girl, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. But different things, different strokes, different folks. Like I said, it makes sense for different people. Situations. It didn't for me anymore. All right, Nadine says, do you still practice law? Will you ever go back to practice? Sometimes I feel like I'm giving up my career, but I work so hard to get. Nadine, that's what we talked about in the very beginning. Um, yes, I felt like I will probably never practice law again unless I have my own firm. And right now, I'm not interested in my own firm. I do feel like I spent a lot of money and time on my career, and it does feel like I'm walking away from a big investment, but I wasn't getting the returns on my investment that I needed to get in order to get me to stick around. Like I was making the money, right? Like I was making the money that kept me there, but like where was my happiness? Where was it? Why was this job so terrible? Why is this set of humans so awful? And they're here every day and they're emailing me at like 9 o'clock at night to argue about some shit. And they're calling me or trying to call me on the weekends, but my phone don't work on the weekends. Sorry, y'all. It just doesn't work. I don't know. Um, yeah, I I said I talked about this in the beginning. It was very hard for me to give up and say like I might never practice law again. But my licenses, like I haven't given them up. They're on hold. I'm inactive with both bars. I'm licensed in California and Ohio. I'm inactive, and if I ever want to go back to practicing law, it's just flipping a switch. I can probably get back within like a week or less. Um, I haven't had no interest in it. I have no interest in going back to having clients. So I would have to be able to choose my clients. So it would have to be my own law firm and my coworkers. I was in house for a really long time, and in house law is lovely, 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 except oh, if your colleagues are terrible. And so my colleagues were terrible, terrible humans. And if I ever see this, I would say it to your face. All right. All right. Um, let's see. Being free also requires buying your own health insurance. I'm teaching my teams to plan on getting their own plans if they aren't tied to a job and don't have coverage issues when they switch jobs. Yes. Yep. I have a super cheap plan in the US because I have never needed, I traveled for a year. I'd never needed health insurance outside of the country, but every time I came back to the US, I was in the ER for some reason. Every single time, including the surgery I had on my knee. It was always something. Like once it was literally, I came back from Mexico, came to America, drank the water in America, and got sick. Was in the ER twice in 1 week. Legit thought I was dying from the water in America. My body was like, no, this ain't it. Um, okay. Before we go, are there any questions about planning your break? Jennifer says, it hit me at 39. Fibro reared its ugly head and took me out. Went from walking to not walking in less than 48 hours. It was crazy. Yes. Yes. Like life happens. Life comes at you fast, but you gotta do what you gotta do. All right. So I started this. I want to make sure everyone hears this. I said it in the beginning. Don't be afraid of the sunk costs, right? Don't be afraid to give up the things that you've invested in, whether that is your career, your reputation, all of the time you've put in at work, the house that you've been living in for so long and you wanted to pass it down to your kids. If selling that house gets you to the life you want, they'll be fine. Sell that house. Like, don't hold on to the things because you've always had them if they're weighing you down. My job weighed me down. My job paid me money that took care of one area, but it weighed down my health and my happiness. And giving it up and not practicing law was hard. Like I said, I spent a lot of money. I spent like, if we count undergrad, I think I want to say I spent like $300,000 to become a lawyer. Um, maybe more. uh, and I gave it all. I gave it up. Um, because it wasn't giving me the returns I needed. And that's something you have to think about. Like, what are you holding on to, but is not giving you the return you need? So if there's something like that in your life, and it doesn't have to be your career, it could be anything. If you're something that's going on that's not giving you the returns that you need in your life, like you've given up a lot for it, but you're not getting back what you wanted, consider giving it up. Consider what your life would look like if you gave it up. And those things can be big and scary, right? It can be very hard to do that. But think about it. Maybe there's something that you want to say, like, now isn't the time. Erica says your kids don't want your damn house. Exactly. They don't. They might want the money that comes from the house, right? But if the money is either like going to them or going to you and living your best life right now, you know what the answer is. And I'm not saying that like as in best life means go to Vegas and like throw it all down, right? Like that's not what I mean. I mean like if it can stop you from being tired and overworked, um, we don't need to sacrifice ourselves for other people. And a lot of times we do that. We sacrifice ourselves for our future, we sacrifice ourselves for our children's futures, and that's not the life you're meant to live. It's not. So, yeah, your kids don't want your house. They'd much rather you be happy. And if they don't deserve a house anyway. So, right? Like, be real. Um, says the idea of going back to my office after working from home since March, just can't. Didn't miss anyone from office. Nope. Nope. Erica told her parents she didn't want their house, so they sold it. Yes. And this is my teens are really what's holding us back right now or view us only because of them. Have you thought about taking them abroad? 15 and 16 are great years. Like I know they'll miss their friends. They'll make new friends. And a lot of times for a lot of kids, especially older ones like that, like this could be a really great experience for them. Something to think about. A lot of people I see in mom groups love it. They love that experience. Adelia did it with her daughter. Something to think about. All right, y'all. We have talked. Ooh, my daughter told me she doesn't want my future. I was so shocked. Teresa, they just say it to your face, right? They just say the words and you got to deal with it. L. Davis says, I'm a PhD in political science. I'm a tenured professor. I'm leaving after 15 years. I enjoyed it, but I'm also tired of it. I'll use my years of teaching experience to teach online courses. And that's what we're talking about. If you're not getting the returns, flip it. Take a break, L. Davis. Take a break between both things, right? A little, a little nap time, like a little 1 month, 3 month nap time, right? A little break in between, and then do something new. Best life to me is waking up when my body tells me to and deciding what to do with my day. Now that's freedom. That's what I did today. I decided I was going to do this video like an hour before, maybe 2 hours before. Um, yeah, here we are talking. Okay, we have talked. Uh, thank you guys for joining me today. Oh, if you would like to work with me, I shared the Ask Me Anything link before, but I'll share it again. You can ask me anything about career break planning, anything about moving to Mexico, anything. Book a session with me. Ooh, what am I doing? Pasting. There we go. Thank you for joining me today. Happy to have you here. Elle says, please hit the like button. I agree with Elle. Go ahead and press that like button. A little thumbs up. And yeah, I said I love talking to you guys. If you have a topic idea, I'm gonna make a post and you can write your topic ideas for the next thing you want to talk about. So, or you can leave them in the comments here and we'll talk about that. I know some people want to talk about my what I've invested in Vanguard. We'll do that one day. It's a lot to talk about. Okay, so D Butterfly says wait. So I'm waiting, Madame Butterfly. What are we doing? What are we talking about? Oh, this is from the shirt. It's a crop top. Z Butterfly. It's from, I'm trying to show you the crop. It's really short. I don't know why it looks long now. There you go. It's a crop top. Um, from Grassfields. It's from England. They're shipping. They do free shipping though over a certain amount, which is why I got it because now I'm not paying for shipping from England. But yeah, like it. So thank you. And thanks everyone for joining, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye. I know how do I end this? Boop, 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 boop.